this edition of Buncombe Life. Like I told you last month, we are going to talk about graffiti. I know if you live in Buncombe County, you have seen graffiti. You have been disgusted by graffiti. It's everywhere. Today I'm here with Chris Campbell. He's a detective with the Buncombe County Sheriff's Department.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. And he works on graffiti crime.
I do. I work quite a bit of it.
Okay. It's probably been now 3 or 4 weeks ago, Buncombe County Soccer Complex was hit with graffiti. It was everywhere. We're showing you. We've got footage of it. You and I went out there and we talked and we decided, we need to know more about this. Because I don't know about you, but when I see graffiti anywhere, the first thing I think is gang violence. I think, oh no, this neighborhood's gone. It's over. Yeah. This is terrible. And that's not necessarily the truth.
That's true, yeah. We get a lot of those. I get a lot of calls when it comes to neighborhoods, especially in the deep parts of the county, because that's the first thing anybody thinks. And so what ends up happening is I go and look at it, or they'll send me photos, which I'm happy to do through the email system. And I'll let them know you're not really looking at a gang. It's probably just some kids from the neighborhood.
Right, which is what happened at the soccer complex.
It was, yes. Yeah, those young men decided that they got a little bored one evening and decided to go out and do some spray painting, and come to find out, good thing was it was not gang related.
Yeah.
And then they were quite cooperative once we talked to them about hoping to clean that up. So.
Good kids, just bored.
Yeah, yep, that's about what it gets to. That's about what it boils down to.
But they did some pretty serious damage, several $1,000s worth of damage to our complex, which, that's what happens. You see businesses and the kids think, oh, this is fun, look at this brick, I'm going to cover it. That's very expensive to get graffiti off brick.
It is, and it's not just about the cleaning up the first part of it. It becomes like a tidal wave effect, is what I say, is you get one wave and then another wave, because not only does the complex itself or wherever the business is hurt, but the parents of the child has to go through court calls and going to court with the child, and going through any kind of counseling that they have to go through. And it can be very costly for not just the parents, because they miss work days also.
And it is a crime.
It is, yes. It's definitely a crime, and something that we try to prevent. Again, whenever people talk about graffiti art, I never consider it art. It's always vandalism to me.
Yeah, it is. So. But as we're going to see in a few minutes, there's some very talented people with spray paint.
Yeah, they definitely have had some practice, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we decided what we want to show you today is some different kinds of graffiti, because you told me there's all different types. So when you spot it, they should report it.
Yes, call the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office if it's in the county. If it's in the city, contact the Asheville Police Department so that we can do our best to charge anyone that we can, so that we can prevent them from doing this to other businesses. Black Mountain will also take reports. Any of your smaller departments around here will take any report they can to fight this kind of stuff.
Right, because you are having success, just like you did at the soccer complex, with finding who did it, stopping it, hopefully teaching these young folks that this is not a good thing to do. You've got talent in art, channel it another direction. If you're bored, let's get you something to do.
That's right.
This is not it. So it's really a win-win to get this stuff stopped.
It helps us, because even though we might not know right away who did it, we take photos of it. We can use that to build cases for later if we end up finding more of this stuff. And we want all the information we can, because we actually learn from this just as much as the public does.
Right. So let's go look at some of this, and you can tell me about it.
All right,
you can
that
tell
sounds
me
good.
what we're looking at here.
Okay, that works for me.
When I tell me actually, I just got to say, this is pretty.
Yeah, they spent some time with this one, you can tell.
They did. So what do we see here?
This is wild side. It's what I call wild side graffiti. It's kind of a design where it's one of those where you got to really step back a far distance to get a look at the whole thing, because it stretches for such a long period of it.
So this one big piece?
It looks as it starts at the purple and works its way all the way down to the orange, back to the purple, and I think it stops right here at the corner of the purple. And it's letters. You can kind of, if you step way back, you can look, there's an S, and it looks like an A, and it goes all the way down, and possibly an R. It's one of those that the person who did this, they know what it means exactly. Unless you have seen it before, or you're really good at deciphering that kind of stuff.
Right.
It can be a little hard to understand every once in a while. But looks like an S and an A, and then maybe an E right there. Looks like a possible R. I have to get a better look at that one over there.
I see it now.
And so it starts coming together once you start looking at it. Yeah. The best way to take this kind of stuff is to actually just sit down and write out what you think it might be until you can actually start seeing a pattern. And like you said, you're starting to see it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it starts clicking after a while, where you can see this stuff a little bit better.
Well, now, is this gang related, or is
this just... No, this is just going to be some kids that came out here one day with some spray paints and came out here and probably spent an afternoon doing this kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness.
A group of guys could do this in just a few minutes.
You're kidding.
No, and that's why they got their names here, or the initials of what they're using with their tagging group. Yeah. Right here with the white section right here, that's most likely their tagging group. that may be the group of guys that came out here and did all this. So they all put their name up here, or a bombing crew is what we call them. A bombing crew is a group that comes out, like let's say on a Saturday or a Saturday night, and they go out and just do a ton of tagging in one evening.
And that's why maybe you won't see it, and the next day it's everywhere.
Yes, ma'am. It could get everywhere overnight because a group of guys get together and say, tonight's our bombing night. And they'll go out and do a ton of this all over the county or all over the city in just a couple hours.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much they can do. Like this right here, they could do this. A group of guys could do this in just a few minutes if they really have practiced together as a team.
Yeah, and I know you said, you know, this is a crime.
It is, yeah.
But this is pretty. I mean,
oh yeah, it is.
There's some talent in there.
There is, and the thing is we want them to use it for the right ways.
Exactly.
There are probably a lot of businesses that would like to have stuff like this done.
Right.
I know the skate parks love it when they come into some of the skate parks and do this kind of stuff because it makes
with
their
permission.
business. Yes, when they get the permission from the company.
Right.
Yep, and they're all for that. The problem is a lot of them don't see that as wanting to do their art. They don't want to do it that way.
Right. Well, let's walk on down. What else do we see here?
These are going to be your block lettering, or it could also be done with a roller called roller tagging with the yellow right here, because they can take a roller like you see like on the bypasses and stuff where it's real big high letters and people wonder how they do that.
Right.
They get the rollers out and they'll do the big rollers. That can be done this way because it's kind of that block style.
Yeah.
So that could be done with a roller. Most likely this is just your block lettering where they did with another spray paint can, but it's a little different design compared to the wild side effect. You can actually read it pretty close up.
Right. Now I see a name, Carrie.
Yep, it could be. It could be a girlfriend.
Okay.
It could be the guy's name is Carl Reed, and he's just taking his letters and trying to mush them together, which a lot of them do that sometimes. They'll mush their initials together to try to make something new.
Yeah.
Like Ishmael would use ISH or something like that.
That's a big one. Ishmael was everywhere.
It started off, that one with cornbread. Was another one up north that started. That actually was one of the very first taggings in the 1960s. Cornbread became a big one and everybody wondered what it was. Kind of find out it was just one of the kids that lived up through there.
Okay.
So that's one of our, when it comes back to, we talk about the history of graffiti, that's where it pretty much starts from.
Is this gang related?
No, it is not. Nothing here I've seen so far is going to tell me that anything's gang related. It's just another one of those where the kids got out and tagged.
And do some
Sure
stuff.
did.
So tell me about this over here.
This is going to be your bubble lettering. I know it's kind of hard to see with the green growing down here, but your bubble lettering, it's more of this. You see like when kids in high school, when they do designs and stuff on their papers and stuff, the bubble lettering is their big thing.
Okay.
And that's what that is. And of course you see the person's initials down here, or their crew name.
Yeah.
The RTC or the KTC. It's probably
Go Home Toy.
Yeah, and toy is a nickname for if you want to make, let's say you want to make fun of somebody who's doing something.
Right.
Whoever did this is probably making fun of the person that did something underneath this.
Okay.
They're saying a toy is like saying a rookie or you're not good at what you do.
Right.
A lot of them will do that. That's kind of like them talking, telling them go away or whatever, just because it's their territory. So.
Right.
But yeah, no, this is not gang related either.
This is not gang
no,
either?
ma'am.
Okay.
A lot of people will get that kind of stuff confused when you see stuff like that, but no, that's just like the star right there.
Yeah.
That star doesn't mean nothing other than that's his little symbol that he uses whenever he spray paints that.
Okay.
You see that a lot with crayons.
Yeah.
You'll see that on some of these kind of things, and there'll be a crayon on top of it, and people think that might be gang related.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily. Usually what that means is whoever spray painted that, when they crayon it, it means that that's their original drawing. They did that the first time. Nobody's ever done it before, and so they're like the creator of that.
There's some pride in this graffiti.
Oh yes, they spend a lot of time, a lot of history in this. A lot of these guys know a lot of the history of the graffiti. They sure do.
Okay, what else have we got? Now,
you've got
this
your.
This is scary looking.
That's
here.
another one of your. I'd say another one of your wild side type stuff. It's a little harder to read. It's one of those where you got to kind of step back.
Yeah.
Looks like maybe an S at the first, an R here, and then we'd have to piece together when we take out the trees there.
Yeah.
But you got your crew down on the bottom again there, the FTB, and then your LED on the side over there. But that LED probably connects to your main drawings over here.
And you've got to tell me about this. There is, like we said when we walked up, I said there is talent.
There is.
In this one, look at this. I mean, this guy could be a cartoonist.
Yeah, they do. They spend a lot of time, and he's probably drawn this a lot of times on his paperwork at school when he was in high school.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff gets drawn on their papers.
Yeah.
And then they come out here and do something like this. This looks like he spent some time, and he did. He's got some talent. Whoever did this has got some good talent.
And here's something I've seen before, moms.
Yeah, moms is a big one. It can be Masters of Mayhem, Masters of Mischief. The one that we know mostly is Marks on Most Surfaces. And that comes from the old magic markers.
Yeah.
Where before they said permanent marker, they said Marks on Most Surfaces.
So it's nothing about their mother.
No, we're afraid not. we kind of, it'd be nice if they were talking about mom, but no, that's more of a thing for themselves.
Okay. Yeah, now that looks pretty sinister, gang related.
No, it's not.
No.
No, because with the spray paint cans there, it kind of takes that avenue out of it. And another reason it's not gang related is because there's nothing there that says what gang they may be from. Yeah, there's a purple bandana, but that could be just about anybody.
Right.
So there's no reason to think that would be gang related.
Okay. How about any of this over here?
That's another wild side, or we call it maze, because it's one of those where you could actually probably start from the left side and work your way through.
Yeah.
Because it kind of looks like a maze.
It does.
And so that's another one of your wild side type maze groups. Another one that you probably stand back and see some letter in there, but it would take a lot of time because you have to know probably how to do the design there.
Right.
But you could probably cipher it out after a while. But yeah, this is another one that they spent a lot of time working on and did a really good job with it.
Well, and then down here, it says, scared money don't make none?
Yeah, it's another just something that somebody wrote in there. Yeah. The organization for your sentence structure there is a little off, but it's something that means something to these guys. Whenever they do this, that means something to whoever decided to do this kind of graffiti.
Okay. But yeah, there's a lot down through here, and there's a lot of talent in that. Is any of that gang related?
Nothing that I've seen out here has shown me any kind of gang relation.
Now that makes a great point for our folks watching, because if you would ask me and I would have come in here, matter of fact, it was scary to walk in here because I thought, oh my gosh, look at all this. And actually it's all just...
Yep, it's just these guys coming out here and having a little fun with some spray paint cans is mostly what this is.
Yeah.
And the bad part about that is that the public doesn't see it as that from the start, and we're trying our best to prevent them from thinking that it might be gang related by not only just finding the ones who do this and charging them for their actions, since we've talked it is a crime, but for the fact is we don't want the public to think that they're being overrun with gangs when it's just some graffiti from some young kids in the neighborhood.
Exactly. Now tell me, I know there is gang graffiti here. There are gangs in Buncombe County. What does it look like? What is the number one indicator that, ooh, that's not good? That's
probably the words. It's probably going to be written in words.
It's not going to be all detailed.
No,
like
usually
that.
You don't see this quite often here. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't exist in upper states and across into California, but most of the stuff when you see gang related here, it's going to be the words blood or Crip or Latin Kings, something along those lines, to where you're going to have a feel of what it might be. Your 6-point stars are a big one when it comes to like Folk Nation or your Crips, because you don't see a lot of 6-point stars in this kind of stuff.
No.
So if they're going to use that, they use that one. A 5-point star can be kind of iffy, like we saw earlier. That's a 5-point star, but yet it doesn't have the same texture as a 5-point star that a blood would draw. So there are different avenues. So when it comes to it, if I look at graffiti and I think it might be gang related, it usually has some ties to the Bloods or the Crips or the Folk Nation by those words, or around the 6-point star or something that sticks out.
Why would a gang, let's say they are here, why would they mark with graffiti?
Territory. Yeah, they're trying to provoke a territory to say this is where we belong. Nobody needs to come in here. The problem with that is then if there's a rival gang there, they may ride over top of it. And next thing you know, you've got a little bit of a feud.
You've got a problem.
And that can happen with this stuff too. The guys who do this, they go out into the county and do something like this. Well, a gang member that lives in that area may take this as a sign of disrespect. And they may look for these kind of people, and you never know what they could do to them. They may hurt them, threaten them, all kinds of stuff. And that's another thing I try to tell these young guys that do this is you don't realize whose territory you might be posing in on when in reality all you're doing is going and having a little fun.
They're in illegal territory to start with. They're doing something illegal to start with, which could lead to real danger.
Oh yes, for them, not only them, but their family.
Getting caught is probably the best thing that can happen
that's
to them.
right, that's right. And that way we can prevent them from doing it again. And that's our main goal is prevention, to keep them from getting out here and getting hurt.
So the main thing you want our folks at home to know is they need to report it if they see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't get scared that it's gang. Don't get scared because it's in your neighborhood, but it needs to be reported so you guys can stop it.
That's right. I love it when people call and say, can we clean this up? Because it shows the incentive of the neighborhood. But we would like to at least have photos of it first. Or if possible, at least somebody can describe it. If we can't get out there, if somebody has a camera at home and they want to take a photo of it, that way when we come, or if I speak to them on the phone and can get an email address for them, then we can correspond that way. way that if I've seen that before, I might be able to say, hey, I might know who did that. And it happens quite often like that, to where we can do that. So yeah, we're all about cleaning it up.
Yeah.
But for us to get the report first off is a great step for us to try to prevent it from happening.
Great. And I know that you've even said sometimes they scribble it on their papers at school. And
yeah, they do that kind of stuff, and it helps us to maybe speak to a principal or something, and maybe somebody recognize that.
And get them focused in the right direction.
That's right. Yep. Get them back to where they need to be before they end up going out and doing something like this.
Right. Now, I know you work with the Western Carolina Gang Task Force.
Yes, ma'am.
So I also want our folks at home to know that we do realize there are gangs here. You guys are working on that to do what you can.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time working with gangs. This is just a small portion of what we do. A lot of the guys spend a lot of time in Henderson County. I know I've been over there. We've got an officer that works directly in Henderson County. He's a deputy over there, a detective over there. He spends his time over there. And so we'll float back and forth from Buncombe County to Henderson County, working together, working in the city as well. With the Asheville City, they have 2 guys, two detectives that are just working with gangs. And we actually have a central office where we work together so that whenever we need to, we can sit down as a group instead of having to try to find a place to meet. Monday morning comes in, everybody's got their cup of coffee. We can sit down and discuss what we need to about what has happened over the weekend or where we need to go for the week, and work together as a good team. And it's not one of those where we're trying to make phone calls and piece everybody together. We actually have that central database. If
there's anybody at home watching that says, you know, I really feel like there is some gang violence or some gang activity in my neighborhood, what should they do?
Call the sheriff's office or the Asheville Police Department, or one of your correspondent agencies, Woodfin PD, anybody like that that can help you. And a lot of times we work with those agencies, the smaller agencies like Black Mountain or wherever else, and we work to try to, if you have somebody in your neighborhood that you feel might be you're worried about, or not necessarily scared of them, but just, okay, I don't want them to go down that road.
Just have a feeling.
Then we're more than happy to work that way through. There's programs out there that are based just to help with those kind of situations. If you've got young kids in the neighborhood that are doing that kind of stuff, we work with the Buncombe County Gang Violence Prevention Program to find programs for these kids and to keep them from getting into that kind of trouble. I know a lot of parents are worried, well, if my son gets out, then the guys that he's hanging out with are going to threaten him. Well, we try to pull them away from that totally together, introduce them to new people that can keep them company to the point where, and
your
work
goal
support.
is not to toss them into jail and say that's not the goal. It's to redirect them, because I know if there's kids out here that've got this kind of talent, they could make great graphic designers.
I mean,
they really need to focus and don't get into trouble, because like we said, the trouble is not necessarily getting caught by you. It's maybe getting into something worse.
Yeah, and that's our main goal. My main thing is prevention. It is, because we don't want them to get hurt. Go out here, or I mean, you've seen them on top of buildings. What if they fall off one of them buildings or something? You know, we don't want that.
There's graffiti showing up in places. I would just love to see it done.
Yeah, it's amazing
how they do it.
It's amazing how they can get there and do it, and so fast that nobody sees them do it. But like on billboards and things like that. But we're trying to prevent that one time from it actually somebody getting hurt from it.
And I know if they do it on train cars, there's multiple things they can be charged with there.
Yes.
That's trespassing. It's federal offenses, and I know you guys work on that.
Yeah,
too.
We work with the railroad quite often. The officer that works that area, he's very good at working with the graffiti. Anytime they get something, he calls me right away and lets me know, sends me photos. That way we can compare stuff. We're working on another case right now where we've charged some young men, and I'm sending him information to see if he's had any problem with those same types of designs. And if they are, then maybe we can work on charging them for that too.
Well, I have to say, this makes me feel better.
Good.
Because I have seen a lot of graffiti, but I don't think I've seen anything gang. I really don't. It's a crime, but you guys are on it, and I feel better.
We're doing everything we can, and we need all the support we can get from the community.
I hope we've made you guys feel better at home. Chris, is there anything you want our folks at home to know?
No, ma'am. Just that if they need anything, please feel free to call us, and we'll do everything we can to help them out.
And to call you if they see any graffiti.
That's right. Anything we can do to help.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in.
You may know one of the biggest drug dealers in our community.
This drug dealer is supplying prescription medicine to the kids in our local schools.
Studies show that 1 in 5 teens have experienced prescription drugs. These drugs are the prescription medicine that's in everyone's home.
It can be medicine for pain relief, depression, muscle relaxers, allergies, or simply cough and cold medicines.
There are a few things you can do to keep these drugs out of kids' hands. Monitor your medicine, count the pills on a regular basis.
Don't keep the medicines where teens can find them. Keep them in a controlled area. Please be responsible for your prescription medicines.
And help keep them out of our schools.
Hey, Dad. Grandpa?
Yeah.
I know bird flu is quite rare in humans, but could that change if the virus changes? Do the experts expect bird flu to have global ramifications? Should we be taking precautionary measures in case bird flu becomes a pandemic?
Need some answers? Find them at pandemicflu.gov. Learn what you should have on hand in case pandemic flu should occur. Learn what healthy habits you and your family should be practicing right now. And find out who you should be talking to about pandemic planning in your community.
I guess it would be prudent to be prepared.
It's time to know what to do about pandemic flu. Visit pandemicflu.gov or call 1-800-CDC-INFO today. A message from HHS.
Buncombe County Child Care Resource and Referral provides information on what to look for when choosing a child care program. We don't recommend any one program above another, but give families the tools needed to make an informed decision for themselves. Information is available on child care centers, family child care homes, after-school and summer programs that have star-rated licenses issued by the Division of Child Care Development. Information is also available on unregulated programs that include preschools, Mom's Morning Out programs, as well as some after-school and summer programs. Staff can provide referrals specific to your family's needs that include name and location of child care programs, ages a program serves, cost of care and hours of operation, adult-to-child ratio, and a checklist of quality indicators. For a list of facilities specific to your need, please call 250-6700 or visit our website at buncombecounty.org/childcare. Or for a one-on-one visit, come to our office at 59 Woodland Place in downtown Asheville.
Welcome back. I hope you have enjoyed our segment on graffiti. It's certainly been interesting for me. We're back out here at another site. I'd love to have Chris with me so he could tell me about this. But we just wanted to leave you with some just little tidbits of some more information that we found out. Graffiti costs American communities about $8 billion a year. It is considered vandalism, and in Buncombe County and all over, it is a misdemeanor. That means that you could get anywhere from a year in prison, restitution, anywhere in between there. Some people could be nice to you or they can throw you in prison. So it's pretty important that you realize it is a crime and help our communities by reporting graffiti when you see it. If you see somebody doing it, report that. If not, if you see new graffiti, report that. Like Chris told us, here's the number, here's where you can call, let them know, they document it, and then they try to work with, especially if it's kids that are doing this, to redirect them and using their talents in a different way. So we hope this has helped you, and we hope you'll help us by reporting graffiti when you see it. We also want you to stay tuned next month. When we go, we're going to visit the Firehouse Casual Living store, and they're going to tell us about wood stoves. There's a new $300 tax rebate that you might want to take advantage of if you have a current wood stove and want to trade it in. They've got some new models. They're going to tell us how they're more efficient now, what to look for, and then some safety tips, because you know it's expensive to heat your home, and we encourage you to use wood stove if you have one, to get one if you don't, but then we want you to be safe too. So definitely stay tuned for that. And I just want to give you a word as we move into the flu season this year. I want to ask you, and you've probably already heard this, but I want to emphasize it again. Please get your flu shot if you can. Please stay home if you're sick, and cover your cough when you're out and about, because I think if we all work together, it'll be much easier. So again, thank you for watching Buncombe Life.